Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Canadian Immigration Live Q&A hosted by myself, Mark Holthe, here on the Canadian Immigration Institute, YouTube, Facebook, all my other platforms. So welcome. It's great to have you here. I am making lots of changes with what I'm doing. I am starting to do those immigration news updates, and that's a lot of fun because it allows me to focus more of my time in these live Q&As on you guys, because the news updates are what I used to do at the beginning. So we're definitely going to get into a lot of questions. Hang tight. I can see individuals. There's a certain level of expectation here, I think, that I've built. And the expectation is that whoever posts a question is going to get it answered. And I want to disabuse everybody of that. I will do my very, very best, to try to get to people's questions. Obviously, you guys know that there's a super chat function on there. And because I'm not getting to everybody's questions, I have decided to pull in one of my fine lawyers. And let's see if we can pull this up here. Let's get this adjusted. My screen here, I apologize. Okay, so here's our firm website. And when I go to our team, I am actually going to pull in my associate, Alicia. And some guys think that you have to book consults with me and I'm the only person that can help you or answer your questions. Well, that is simply not true. Alicia actually is way smarter than I am and a fantastic lawyer. And so in order to help you guys understand that, we are adding another live Q&A that will happen on Thursdays. And we haven't entirely narrowed down the time. I don't think it's posted yet, but let's just pull this up quick. Let's just see here. Just give me 1 second. It's going to be at 11:30 on Thursday. So 11:30 Thursday mornings. It might be 11 o'clock. We'll see. But Alicia is going to join me. My lawyer here. Actually, I'm showing my nothing like sharing my whole calendar. That's my day, guys. That's how crazy it is. Anyways, so Alicia is going to join me on a live Q&A on Thursdays. And we're going to add that extra little bit of support to all of you fine people because I just can't get through everybody on a Wednesday. So we're going to do it tomorrow, and we'll see if we settle on an exact time, but we're going to try to do that a little bit more consistently. Now we have Mohammed here, Lishan. He says, hey, you didn't answer my question last week. Okay. Can we have two GC key accounts, one for profile and one for study permit application? No, I do not advise you to do that. So have one GC key, because ultimately you can have a study permit, you can have a profile, you can have all of those. And I know where you're going with this, okay? Immigration knows who you are. And just by having two separate GC keys to try to trick them into thinking that you don't have a profile, in the end, they can match you up. There's name searching, there's passport matching. And so when they're going through the process, you have to use the same passport. So anyone out there, any representative out there who's advising you that it's a good idea to have a profile through one GC key and then another one that you use for your temporary applications so that whole dual intent thing doesn't happen, it's stupid. I don't advise you to do that. Ultimately, immigration is going to think you're trying to play a fast one on them anyways. And so I want to be upfront, completely transparent, and then I push them. If they give me a refusal on a study permit because someone has a profile in the queue, I judicially review it. Like, I challenge that. Now, there may be other factors that come into play, and maybe they can justify that refusal on the study permit. But if they're relying alone on the fact that you have a profile as the only factor, that's a reviewable error, because the concept of dual intent is built into the legislation. And obviously, depending on which country you're coming from, they treat it differently. So can you have it? Well, there's no law or restriction on doing it. There's nothing preventing you from creating a 500 GC keys. But in practice, immigration definitely does not like that. And they consider it kind of like sharp practice, right? Okay, so there you go. Okay, Hitesh, good to see you. So back to the question at hand. Tomorrow, 11:30. I do not believe we yet have the notification posted on our Let's just see here. I kind of jumped right in and didn't even do my fancy intro or anything today, but hey, this is live, and oh my goodness, my software that I use for the this Ecamm software is so cool, because actually I want to show you what I got going on here. Guess what's coming up? Today is October the 20th, and I just want to share this with you. Oh, what was that? Yes, Halloween is on its way, and tomorrow we're going to have a lot, next week we're going to have a lot of fun leading up to October the 31st, and just various little Halloween celebrations. That's what we're going to do. All right. Whoa. Oh, okay. We've got more. Oh, okay. That's enough. The ghosts need to go away. All right. Okay. So good to see you, Hitesh, and it's good to see you, Nora. And Andre, we've got here. Bon dia, Andre. Good to see you. George, hello, my good friend. And who else do we have here? We've got Amit, who's down in Virginia. Good to see you as always. Thanks for connecting in. And Calgary is in the house. Absolutely. Great to have you. Okay. All right. Let's move forward. And I'm going to just follow through with the questions. I'm going to try to get through as many as I can, and understand if I skip your question, I'm trying to find ones that are going to be the most benefit to everybody in the group. So that's the most important factor. If you have a specific question, one that relates really to you and your own specific circumstances, like, am I eligible for express entry? Which province is best? I will always, you guys, direct you back to our website and recommend that you go right here and click on the Speak to a Lawyer, and then book a consult with one of us lawyers in the firm. So you can book a consult with Alicia, with Susan, or myself. And you can see I have now moved me to the bottom. And why have I moved me to the bottom? Because I want you guys to trust and believe. Whoa, now they're both coming here. Okay, I'm going to get rid of these. I want you to understand that the lawyers in the firm are here to help, and they're every bit as knowledgeable and experienced as I am. I'm not the only one that can help you. And I think some people, they wait like a week or a week and a half for a consult with me, which is totally fine. But Alicia has space and Susan has space, and I want you guys to pursue those options as well, and you will be very pleasantly surprised. That's why I've got a team with me. Okay, zipping through, let's talk with Fayaz. Has got, what is the difference between security check and background check and process time? Okay. Background check is just looking at your criminal record. Do you have you provided a criminal record report, and is there a criminal offense connected to it? Security is all about the other sections, Section 34, Section 35 in the Immigration Act. Is there international human rights violations? Are you an Al-Qaeda warrior? Are you a terrorist? Have you participated in armed struggle? To enact or to achieve some politically motivated thing. Have there been genocide and all these crazy things? That's what security is, as opposed to criminality. Processing times, completely up in the air. I had one consult. Oh, I forgot to give them the referral. Okay. I had a consult just 2 days ago with a family that had a parental sponsorship application in the queue for over, get this, 10 years. And why? Because it was hung up with CSIS, Canada's Security Intelligence Service. That's what it was, because they had questions about the one father, and they basically have just been dragging things out. And when that happens, you need to hire an immigration lawyer to help. And so that's what we're doing. So that's security. Okay. Chandran's over in the UAE. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in so late. Jama, private sponsorship, my friend, that whole thing, I'm going to point you guys to a couple different avenues, a couple of different resources. Okay. So one of them is that I want to point you to is the Canadian Immigration Podcast. Now, a lot of these we've moved over to our, I'll just put here private, and let's see if we can find it here. So I've moved a lot of these over to our firm website, but right here you can see private sponsorship of refugees, part 2, private sponsorship of refugees, the first one. I did these episodes with Ronnie Carey, and we covered a bunch of different information in this. We even have one for windmill micro lending, which also touches briefly on that area. And so these podcasts, the Canadian Immigration Podcast, was a source that I'd created a while back. And obviously you can see, yeah, I was thinner and younger and not as old man looking as I am now and chubby. But yeah, so that's a good source. But when it comes to the Q&As, private sponsorship, please. Well, ultimately, there's not much that I can say about that. That's an awful big question. That's a whole presentation in and of itself. However, I do want to point out one thing here, and let me see if I can go back here and see. It's not quite posted, but it will be posted. So this is our live right now, but I have in Immigration Nation, when you go to videos and you go to playlists, tomorrow we're going to get it posted. Hopefully we can get this posted today. But Immigration Nation tomorrow, we have Alicia, but then we also have, let's just see here if I can find this, Immigration Nation right here. We'll stop that because I don't want that. Oh, you got to love the ads. Okay, so right here, we'll scroll down. Okay, so Immigration Nation, we've got a bunch of different topics where I bring on lawyers across the country. Well, tomorrow is going to be a really cool one that you guys are not going to want to miss. It is at 3 p.m. is when we're going to do it. And watch for the announcement, because essentially, man, that is annoying. You guys don't want to. Okay, there. Let me just share my screen. Sorry. Okay, so you can see here on the Immigration Nation, there's a playlist. Immigration Nation, this is my view. But anyways, I have done a ton of videos with other lawyers on really important topics that are also Q&A based, and they cover a wide variety of issues revolving around immigration. So everything from processing to the economic programs to we've covered the provincial nominee programs. We've covered advocacy for immigrant women fleeing violence. And this one that we're going to do on tomorrow at 3 o'clock with my good friend Robert Blanchet is all about what's happening in Afghanistan. And we have a judge that is joining us with audio only. And he actually pre-recorded it. So we're going to pull in his responses, and he's going to share his experience of what is going on as a judge or a formal judge in the secular courts or whatever in Afghanistan, and now being trapped in Kabul. So that's going to be a great one. You want to make sure that you connect and watch, and there might be some information in there, Jama, if you want to join us, and we can talk about that a little bit more, okay? Because that is one of the possibilities. All right. Okay. Moinadin says, my master's was valued by Wes as a master's. Can I get an ECA evaluated from ICAS or CS to claim points as 2 or more degrees? No. A master's is as high as you can go. And so if your master's was evaluated as a master's, then there's no point in trying to get 2 or more, because you're not getting more points. You get more points for a master's degree than 2 or more. So that's that one. Okay, I want to know whether a graduate with job experience is eligible for PR or not. I ring. Okay, here we go. I'll show you. This is a perfect example here. So I'm going to ring that bell right there. Do you hear that one, Ankit? And then I'm going to push you right back over here, and I'm going to tell you to come right here, click on Speak to a Lawyer, and it's going to take you to the consultation page and book a consultation with myself or one of my lawyers right here. That's what you're going to do. Any questions like that are really broad, there's no way I can answer that, my friend, unless I have an opportunity to sit down with you, talk about everything, and cover everything. Okay. Rohit from India, good to see you. Ralph, big shout out to my good friend. I'm so excited for you guys to be coming down to Calgary. I'm going to be seeing Ralph and Bella and Kai and Jaden in Calgary here at the end of the month. I'm so excited for that. Oh, and that reminds me. Thank you. Because I had a friend who said, hey, Mark, the 30th is the last day to go fishing out on the rivers before they close of October. Can you go with me on the Saturday? And of course, I can't, because I'm meeting you guys in Calgary. Ah, great. The Sura, good to see you. I'm doing awesome. Past alumnus of the Canadian Immigration Institute. And boy, are we having fun right now The group that is attending the Canadian Immigration Institute, our express entry, step-by-step DIY course and master class that I'm teaching right now, this group right here, boy, are we having a lot of fun. The October 18th to the 22nd group, wow, they're a great group. It's a small group this time, and boy, did they luck out, because with the smaller groups, well, it doesn't really matter how many there is. I think we had about 35 in the group in earlier in September, and we've got right around 20 or so this time. But it's a really, really great group, and I have lots of fun every evening, 5 to 6. And Thesura was one of those fine people that have taken it in the past. All right. Okay, Jake says, FSW Outland, AOR, January 2021. Can we expect an answer by this year? It's going to be close, because I think some of you realize, I think if we go back here to the YouTube channel, let's see if I can find it again here, my channel, and stop that. Okay, I think many of you realize that I did a video, immigration news. Let's see here, masterclass, immigration live. Boy, let's see, where is it? I just did. Oh, it's this one, of course. It's the one right here. I shared this with everybody, this update, the breaking update, and I think maybe I need to change the title, because you can't really see it very easily unless you click on it, can you? Anyways, this video here.
Kevin Bacon.
All right, buddy.
Here. And I want to give you
that, Kevin,
a chance to win.
You are looking really old, my friend. Kevin Bacon was looking a little old there. So this was the breaking news. PPRs are now being issued. And in this case, I actually go in, you guys, and let me see if I can scrub this across here if it lets me. Come on. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I actually pull in the passport request that's a great image of me. I actually pull in the passport request for both a principal applicant who's in the US, yes, which I've been talking about for a very long time, as that these are still trickling in some countries. But the thing that I was most excited about was the fact that the candidate here, their dependent was in India, and they also got their passport request, which is a huge, huge plus. And for this couple, they had filed, I think it was December the 26th of 2019. So if you're in January, yes, I think there's a very good chance that by the end of this year, we're October 20th, that you're going to see movement, and maybe even that passport request. Now, they also received a request for updated medicals, which they completed. And then within that 30-day period of receiving the medical instructions and completing it, they then got the passport requests. So hang in there, my friend. This is actually really good news. And, part of the reason that the slowdown in issuing new ITAs, I think they're just really trying to focus, and I know they are. They're really trying to focus on getting through the backlogs and getting people processed and getting people here. So that's a great question. Okay, Sheik says, would my tier to PR application be rejected if my marital changes? No, I don't see any reason why it would be rejected. The only thing I can think of is if your marital changes, if you get divorced and you were included as a dependent on someone else's application, and and you're no longer considered to be a dependent, then that's the only thing that I could think of. But once again, I ring the bell, and these issues are really complex. Come here and click on speak to a lawyer, book a consult, get in to see us. And it's as simple as this. You click 25-minute consult for Alicia. Today's the 20th, so she doesn't have any spot today. Tomorrow, the 21st, she's got openings. You can jump in tomorrow with her right away, get your questions answered. You literally don't have to wait at all. That's why we structured it this way, so that you can get your answers as fast as you possibly can. And so if I'm not available or Alicia's not available, Susan's available, and vice versa. So we always try to stagger so that we always have lots of appointments available for clients who have questions. And that question, I'll be honest right here, that's an important question to ask that would require a consult, because I don't know any of the circumstances around what marital changes mean. So we can't really give a clear answer. Okay, Hitesh says, TR to PR, agent said everything passed on 20th of September, and it's been a month. I have not received portal request. Please suggest what should I do? Wait, my friend, just wait. You guys know what it's like. I went in this morning. I got up at 7 a.m. to do a quick Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program Express Entry Stream review for a client. And we needed to go into the profile of Express Entry and make some changes because there were some errors in it. That's another point. If you have a problem with your profile, you know something wasn't quite correct, you get a notification of interest from one of the provinces, and now you're wondering if they're going to somehow find misrepresentation, book a consult and we can sort through this. I had a great call with one of the program officers with the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program about how the program's going. Lots of different details about the selection process. And yes, Alberta, and I am going to do a separate video on this, Alberta is starting to extend notifications once again based on occupation. And a little teaser, I have one of the sources that they use for labor data in Alberta that I will share in an upcoming video, and that can help. So if you're in that kind of range where you see some of these occupations that for the 10-year outlook that maybe there's going to be some shortages in Alberta for your particular occupation, by having a profile in the pool and a score of at least 300, you may just be able to get one of these magical expressions of interest saying, hey, where you're notified that Alberta would consider possibly nominating you, so submit an application. So that's what I reviewed this morning. Okay. Yes, but Hitesh, in your situation here, my friend, you're going to need to wait. It's going to take a long time for the TR to PRs. And the same client had a TR to PR pathway, and unfortunately, she failed to upload the actual TR to PR schedule, that form. She made a mistake, and we've seen individuals who've had their applications refused for not having the form in. She tried to update it. We haven't got an AOR yet for her even, and it's possible she could have her file rejected, but we've got a backup with the provincial nominee, the Alberta Immigrant Nominee Program. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Kartik says, got my passport request, sent passport for stamping, but status suddenly changed to in progress from approved, and another BVL came again. Okay. I'm not sure. Kartik, once again, I'm going to ring that bell because this is something that relates specifically to you, and you really need to book a consult so that we can sort this out in detail, because I'm not exactly sure what the change would be. Sometimes we actually have to request GCMS notes. So, okay. Okay, this is awesome. I love this fear mongering, Lucas. Some people saying FSW has been canceled lately. It was put on hold because of the pandemic, but not canceled. Is there any evidence that it has been canceled or reason to believe it will be? That is freaking crazy talk. It is not canceled and will not be canceled. That is that whole program has been around in existence since the beginning of time. There is no other program that allows for individuals to apply to immigrate to Canada as a skilled worker, okay, the federal skilled worker, other than that one. Unless like individuals that are outlanders, that's the only program other than PNPs if you go directly to a province. And so that is the main source of new immigrants. No, anyone who's saying that is just trying to get you to maybe hire them to submit a profile when you have 150 points. They're just trying to scam you. And there's lots of rumors. And in fairness, people, they try to draw, conclusions from the limited information that they see online. And some people just want to create fake news, right? Just so that they can amp up their YouTube channel. And I think you guys heard last time, I was pretty ticked with the one alleged Canadian Immigration News YouTube channel, which I'd encourage you to boycott, who basically took the letter that I wrote to the minister, and used it as a YouTube article without even linking back to, I should say, a YouTube video, identifying it as some brand new news when it actually was a letter I sent back in July, months ago, and they were alleging it was brand new news. And it irritates me. And when I went in and put a comment on there with the link back to the actual CBA article, then they deleted my comment. And so, anyways. Okay, moving on. Let's see what else we have here. Applied in CC and it's been 5 months. People are getting in 2 to 3 months. Should I open a web form? No. Just be patient, Asifer. There are a lot of reasons why applications take longer, but the processing times are 6 months. If you hit 6 months, then go ahead and request the GCMS notes. But as far as the web form, it isn't going to make 1 iota of a difference, because when you go, and now let's flip back here, and I'm going to go right here to IRCC processing times, okay? And click on the link right here, open this up, and you can see right here at the beginning, it says, due to the impacts of COVID-19, we can't process applications normally and give accurate processing times for most applications. So even when you go here and you look at economic immigration and you go to the, let's say the Canadian Experience class, and it says, have you applied? If you say, I haven't applied, you've applied, I already applied, and processing times, you can see here that it says 6 months. When you click on this button, it says that most, excuse me, will be completed in this time, but processing times vary based on all these things. And when you have this and you add it to this, it means that 6 months is what they're shooting for. But even these processing times are going to have issues because there's officers being pulled to deal with the Afghan crisis, which is what we're going to talk about tomorrow, 3 p.m. And that reminds me, I'm going to just open up. Oh, I don't even have my ugly Teams here. Oh, I don't like Microsoft. Oh, did I tell you guys how much I don't like Microsoft? I'm just going to see here if I can find, there it is. Okay, bear with me 1 second. I am going to just open up my Teams, and I'm just going to ask Max to post, make sure that he gets this posted as soon as possible because we're running out of time. And I'm going to be jumping from this to another call to another call. And let's just see if we can get this up. Okay. Let's see here. Yes. Please, Max. He's my assistant. Please, Max, get this live stream scheduled with there. Okay, that should work. Okay, excellent. Okay, moving on. Next question. Why are they holding back? Because they're trying to process the massive numbers of applications that they have in the queue right now. Okay. Hi, Mark. RCC request for Saudi PCC, but in RCC website it says that you do not need to get one if you don't have status anymore. I emailed also Saudi Embassy here in Canada, but no reply until now. Rona, if you're filing at the beginning through Express Entry, it will pull up a spot in your personalized document checklist. And in there, it will very clearly indicate that you need to provide it. But what you do, if we share the screen, and I cover this in my course, you need to upload a letter that basically says, please note, I've been asked to provide a Saudi police certificate, but, and we can even go right here, PCC, IRCCEE, open it up, scroll down to here, find out how, and I will even copy this, my friend. So if I go down to Saudi Arabia right here, and I go find out how to apply, and then it says here, you don't need to provide it. I will even take a screenshot of this and a little cover letter, and I will update it in the portal and then upload that into the spot where it's to be required. That's at the beginning. If, however, you're getting the request to provide it now after you filed it, well, obviously you're going to follow through and you're going to follow their instructions to get it done. Okay. Good question, Rona. Okay, this one here, Eduarda, SDS applications. I honestly don't know how long the processing is. You know, ultimately, can we trust this stuff? Can we trust what we're seeing in here? I don't know. Like I don't have any personal experience with that, so I can't tell you on average what I'm seeing. And so I wish I could give you more help. Okay, George says, my colleague and I want an employee reference letter from our manager. Should we make sure our letters are identical, format, content, or just we ask our manager to produce them differently but consistently? Excuse me. I have absolutely no problem if your manager is issuing, if you're both filling the same role, all of the conditions are excuse me, the same. You're paid the same. Your wages are the same. Your duties are the same. I have absolutely no problem with you and your colleague's letter coming from the same employer for the same position, that it looks identical. No issues, George, at all. It makes sense, right? that an employer would have their own template and they would reuse that for all their employees. It's when people are having two different letters from two different employers that look identical, and this is what everybody's doing. They're going online, they're searching express entry reference letter. You will not find a sample reference letter for me online. Because if I'm an officer and I'm processing an application and I see all these people that have used reference letters and they all have the same format, they look identical, they're from different companies on the other side of the world, I'm going to start to wonder, is this really legitimate? Is this really the employer who prepared this? Or was it the employee and the employer doesn't even know about it? Or is it a complete fraudulent letter? So I never, ever want people to use those. Now, in my course, absolutely, I have a sample there. And I include 30 actual reference letters that have been redacted for past clients as examples to show you that it doesn't matter what the letter looks like, the structure, as long as the content that immigration is looking for is all there. So no worries with that at all, George. Obviously, if there's variations between your positions, then they want to change that. But if they look visually identical, perfect, no problem. Yes, they do, Jari. They need to think about outlanders who have spent a lot of money doing the language tests, have expired, will expire soon. For example, freezing or extending the validity of language tests. I know, Jari. The problem is that they're not going to do anything about it. The reality is they have put a lot of blame on the pandemic, on now the Afghan crisis, and the delays, and they have the ability to choose what they're going to do in terms of invitations to apply, how many people they're going to bring in, how many they're going to land each year, how many officers they're going to assign to processing. And so they have freedom to make all of those decisions. And my heart goes out to all you outlanders who have been sitting, languishing, who've spent money on tests, spent money on ECAs, have done everything that they were supposed to do, even started doing medicals that now have to be redone. My heart goes out to you guys. It really, really does. But when it comes to IRCC, they're not gonna do that. In Canada, for medicals and things like that, you saw that they were willing to extend medicals, so people didn't have to go back and do another medical. But with language tests, they have not done that, even for people that are in Canada. And so I would be very surprised if it was anything different. Orlando, another alumni. Great to see you. Orlando also took the course, the EE course. I can't remember, Orlando, if you also took the TR to PR pathway. I can't remember, but this is awesome. Okay. How ironic. All right, let's just see here if I can do this again. Okay, so Orlando, is what you're saying is you saw this? Is that what you saw? Okay. I couldn't help myself. You set me up there. So I have seen 3 ghost updates on my profile for my PR application, and it is now coming close to 6 months. Is getting all those ghost updates a good sign? The only reason you're getting ghost updates is because they're doing something, right? Something is happening to trigger those. Think of it this way, like and half of the time they don't know what's happening on our side. Well, no. 95% of the time, they don't know what's happening. In fact, when I reached out to the minister's office, and I just got an email this morning back inquiring, because I basically brought up that the portals are a disaster. I tried to log in this morning and had problems, and they weren't aware of all of the issues that you and I are facing. And so, so when it comes to any updates, we don't really know 100% what is causing them. But I like to kind of think of it like, maybe an officer goes in and they start to work on something. They open your file up and they start to work on it. But in the end, they don't make any changes. So they don't add any new information. And then they just resave it and close out and go to another file, but they were just looking at it. I don't have exact knowledge as to whether or not that's the case, but in my mind, that's how I see it. An officer goes in, opens up your file, looks to see where things are at, and then there's nothing more that they're going to actually add to it, but they're just taking a peek to see and manage their own workload or whatever, and maybe they click save in GCMS and then go out, and maybe that's what's triggering it. I don't know, but for sure something's going on the other side, and something always is better than nothing, Orlando. Okay, I'm doing great. Javon, good to see you. Okay. All right. So Manpreet works in India, family business, sole proprietorship, sales manager, not the owner, and salary is transferred in the account. Was experience to be counted? What documents? Okay. Okay. So anytime you've got a family business, you need to make sure that your records are extra sharp. Do you have pay slips? When it comes to salary being transferred, is there a record of that? I would even make sure that you've got a formal job offer, or job description, whenever you start any work for family. Now, Manpreet, I know you've already worked there and now you're trying to claim past work, but anyone is doing that and you think you're going to go to apply to immigrate anywhere in the world, treat your employment as a regular employee. And, ultimately there's a lot more that goes into it, Manpreet. We talk a lot about that in the Express Entry course and the master class. But when it comes to, and there's resources there for self-employed, but ultimately when you're going through and you're trying to prove it, you need to go like even beyond what a normal person would do to try to prove that the relationship really was such that you were working as a sales manager full-time, 30 hours a week, that you were paid commensurate with the work that you were doing, that the duties you performed were actually that of a sales manager, because there's somewhat of a feeling, and I think it's not untrue, that often when you work in your own family business, that you've got a little bit more flexibility than a regular employee. Maybe you've got, you work 3 days out of the week instead of full time, right? And so the onus is on you to prove it, and it's not easy. Okay, let's see here. Okay, Nuha, good question. She says, I'm currently waiting for, okay, we got a super chat there from PSJ. Currently waiting for my COPR since 2019. Would applying for a European visa and possibly getting rejected affect my application result? No, not at all. Not at all. Absolutely. You can apply to as many countries as you want, Nuha, and you do not need to worry about that at all. You're very welcome, Lishan. Very, very welcome. Okay. Okay, Monty says, I get an AMP approved. Will I get 600 points in Express Entry profile? It depends on whether your nomination came from the Alberta Opportunity Stream or the actual Express Entry Stream. Boy, if it came from the Express Entry Stream, then yes, you're going to go back in, update your profile, get the extra 600 points, and be one of those people that is actually getting drawn under the rounds of invitations, because all they're doing right now, let's go in here and let's just take a peek. All they've been doing over the last little stretch is just the PNPs, because of the agreements that they have with the provinces to keep issuing nominations. If the provinces are pumping out, keep issuing invitations, if the provinces are continuing to pump out the nominations. So they're part of the reason that they're doing this is because immigration is, and you can see 1 week ago, we had another PNP. And if we go back historically here, you can see that they've done every 2 weeks still. So October 13th, September 29th, PNP. So basically every 2 weeks, over the last stretch here, they've been doing PNP only. So will we see another CEC before the end of the year? And there comes the ghost with the ghost update. I should really keep that. I love that, actually. I love that. Okay. So yeah, if it's Express Entry Stream, then you're going to get it. You bet. Okay. Parse says, TR to PRIG stream got Schedule A requests, but did not get any biometric request. What should I do? I'm going to tell you right here, I'm going to ring this bell. If I could ring this thing 100 times, I would ring it, because I'm finishing up a response pleading with immigration not to bounce someone because of misrepresentation for failing to include the fact that they had 2 prior US visa refusals. All I can say is please, you guys, if you, for whatever reason, if you get, and let me see if I can find it here. I've got so many pages open here. Where is it? Oh, I must have changed it here. All I can say is if you get one of these requests, okay, for another Schedule A, it may be some innocent things. It may truly be something that's innocent. But I want to highly encourage you to click on here and book a consult with Alicia, book a consult with Susan or myself, so that we can look at your file, take a careful look to see why they're requesting it. Now, obviously, if you've got gaps in time, then that might be what they're focused in. But when this particular client who's hired me after, and it's not cheap to have me go back and do a forensic evaluation to see why they might be asking for it. And the interesting part is when I go through and review everyone's applications, 95% of the time I can see exactly where the problem was. And then if we can identify the problem, this is our chance to correct it. But for the client that I'm helping, he didn't realize that he hadn't remembered it. And so 2 times he submitted a background declaration without disclosing it. And then guess what he got back? Basically a response that we are going to find misrepresentation for you. And, we just don't know how it's going to play out. I'm hopeful that our answers will be enough, but they may not be. And there's always a chance then that he could have a 5-year bar from Canada and his dream gone. And I don't mean to scare you, but I want to scare you guys. I literally want to scare you, because the reality is if you have any further requests for biometrics, that's where the statutory declaration information is contained in there. And you could face this 5-year misrep if you're not properly responding to what they're asking for. And you guys should be scared. You should be if you get this. So it's well worth your money to book a consult with us so that we can figure out and see if indeed there's something we can correct, something that we can fix, something that we can disclose on this one, because it's far better if you get it right at this time than you wait for that awful letter coming back saying, we think you misrepresented because you didn't disclose these prior visa refusals or whatever it might be, because it's a whole lot harder to tell the officer, oh, I just didn't know, when they say you submitted that misrep twice. Okay. So there you go, Parth. I don't mean to fearmonger, but I do actually in this case mean to fearmonger. Go over here to our site. There's a link underneath in the description. Click and book a consult and let's take a look at it. Okay. EC says, can I apply for my father and brother's visitor visas through my own GC account, or should I create new ones? Create a new one for them. Okay. It's their applications, not yours. And one thing I'll let you guys in, one thing I'm working on is a new visitor visa DIY guide. So keep you posted on that one. Okay, Isab says, greeting from Mexico. Any updates on how when IRCs will be more transparent regarding processing? I wish. Oh my goodness, I wish. This is something I've been advocating for so long, that they have a duty to be transparent, to be candid, to let people know where things are really at. And that's what really troubles me, is the fact that they have not been even respectful enough to let people know that things are backlogged, that nothing is happening. I wish that they would just be more transparent. And as far as I'm concerned, there's no excuse for not being more transparent. Vita, good to see you. And the sir says, Mark, we want to see baby healthy. So Jaden is my godson with Jaden Hansky. But my baby healthy she's just turned 16. Michaela is 16 years old. All right. Okay, let's jump down to some of the super chats and we'll hit those ones. Okay, Manpreet says, I work in India, family business. Okay, I hit Manpreet. I got yours. And then Veda says, request you to give your estimate on when expect FSWs. Do you recommend Destination Canada virtual job fair, which starts next month? I'm bilingual. Veda, if you're bilingual, you are way, way ahead of other people. It is so, so valuable. And remember, you guys, I want you to pursue every option available. If there's a job fair and you have the ability to get a job, an ability to get a work permit, come to Canada while your PR is processing, pursue it, 100% pursue it. But the new thing that every single candidate outside of Canada that wants to immigrate to Canada, think French. In fact, think French almost first before English, because the pathways for Francophone candidates are exceptionally stronger, exceptionally better than those for English candidates. That's really how it works for people who are destined to a province outside of the province of Quebec. But compared to other outlanders that have no connection with Canada, it's pure human capital. French makes all the difference. Okay, let's see who else we got here for some super chats. We'll hit those. And there's a ton of questions. Remember, tomorrow, 11:30, we'll be back here, Alicia and I, if you don't get your question answered. And remember, we've got about 12 minutes left here. Okay, we'll jump down. Okay, here we go. Okay, so PSJ. Okay, applying for a parent super visa with eCoper. Can I apply for parents' super visa with eCoper? No, you need to be an actual permanent resident. Well, you need to have it landed. So eCoper, if you've actually become a permanent resident, then you're a permanent resident. Okay. If you've actually completed the landing process, then you are. And yes, you can apply. So yeah, short answer, that's the answer. Okay, Maria says, do you think that self-employed outland applicants will be processed by this year and especially after waiting for 29 months? No, I do not. I don't. Let's take a look here. Let's flip back, check the processing times. We'll go here. So it is an economic program, self-employed right here. Processing times, as you can see, we're already up to 36 months, and that's the ones that are already in the queue. Now, whether or not this last update that happened yesterday, we can actually trust it or believe it, that's a different question. But I absolutely do not believe that that one is going to get through. Not at all. Okay. Chaitanya says, hey, Mark, third ghost update today, medical. What did you say? Did you said that you had the third the third ghost update today, medical bio done 2 weeks ago. Can I quit my job? I got manager position, waiting on decision now. Do not quit your job ever until you get permanent residence in hand. Don't quit your job. Just keep it. Okay. And I'd say that for everyone. It didn't matter what their plan was, what their expectations. Okay. Let's keep zipping back and let's get to some more questions. And once again, if I didn't get to you, remember, we are going to be back here tomorrow. Okay. All right. Let's zip back to kind of where we were at before. Let's get to some more questions. Okay. Takali says, hey, Mark, possible to submit ARIMA and EE entry profiles in Parable, or it will look bad. Okay. The most important things, here's some general things that, and it's better to address this generally. Okay. And I'm going to cover a whole bunch of different areas, but this will benefit a lot of people who are asking about duplicate filing. So to start with, you can have multiple applications in the queue at the same time. The only thing you can't is if you're sponsoring more than one person. You can't sponsor a spouse and your parents at the same time. You can't have two sponsorships. That's one of the regulations. Okay, but you can have multiple applications. However, let's say, for example, you have a Quebec-based application that you're filing, and you also have an express entry application in the queue. Well, for the Quebec-based application, you have to demonstrate you actually intend to reside in Quebec. For express entry, you have to demonstrate that you actually have an intention to reside outside the province of Quebec. And there's information sharing. So that's going to be a problem for you. Let's say you've got a P&P nomination for Nova Scotia, but you are... the job offer that you submit through express entry, you've got a brand new LMIA-based job offer, and it's for Alberta. So in your express entry application, you have an obligation to demonstrate that you actually intend to go to Alberta to fulfill that job offer, which a job offer is open for 1 year after obtaining your permanent resident status. So in your application, you have to indicate where you're going to live. If you have an application for permanent residence going for, say, Nova Scotia through a different stream, you have to convince the officer that you actually intend to live and reside in Nova Scotia. And even up until the point where you arrive at the border with an approved COPR to do the landing process, if you are destined to Alberta and that permanent residence was approved through the provincial nominee program in Nova Scotia, that officer can cancel it and can refer it for a review and refuse to land you and even send you back home. So those are the factors that you look at. But if you have an express entry, say, and a TR to PR pathway, no problem. If you have an express entry that's going forward and you have a PNP nomination, but you're indicating that both places you're going to be living in that province, no problem. And then it's like a horse race. The first to win wins. Okay. Jama, good to see you. Looks like we've got a few more super chats. We'll hit those. We've got 7 minutes left. So if you want to get in, throw your question down as quickly as possible. And then otherwise, I'm working through the questions as best I can from top to bottom. How IRCC will be more transparent. We covered that one. Let's see here. Okay, so Carly says, I've got the... have an AOR and biometrics submitted last August 4th for the TR to PR international grad. Is it okay to file a leave of absence from work? you don't have to be working at the end of for international grad. You don't have to be employed at the time in which you actually apply. When it's finalized. For essential workers, yes, there's an element of it, but even for essential workers, no, the only obligation is that you are physically present in Canada. However, Carly, until I get PR, I would not and if your leave of absence, I don't even know why you would want to request a leave of absence. Are you planning on going home or leaving the country? All of those things play a huge role. I'll ring the bell, tell you to slide over, book a consult, and let's sort that out in more detail because there's a lot involved there. Okay, let's see what else we have here. Okay, Layla says, I'm in the CEC after 5 months, asked me the police clearance from Saudi Arabia, which I've never, ever been there. I did web form 2 times, but nothing happened. I'm worrying, what should I do? So the only reason they're asking for a police certificate from Saudi Arabia must be based on what you answered in your application. So I'm going to ring the bell once again. I'm going to tell you, Layla, to book a consult with us. I will go in with you. We'll look at your EAPR. I have a way of going back to see exactly the information that you put in there. And then we can see why this is being triggered. Because the request for a Saudi Arabian police certificate, sometimes people, if they studied abroad, like they studied by correspondence, let's say for the UK, but they were living in India, and they put the location of study as being the UK, then it will trigger the need for a UK police certificate. But in your situation, I need a whole lot more information. Okay. Hello, Sharon. Good to see you. Okay, let's jump back down to our super chats again. Let's just see here. I'm just going to make sure I don't miss any. Okay, let's see. Okay, Tanya, thank you very much. And let's see who's next here. Reginald. Thank you, Reginald. I appreciate that. Okay, and okay, Neomis, the Arsenal fan. Awesome. Okay, what is the probability that upon entry to Canada, after receiving my letter for approval for study permit, could I be rejected for it at the border? I say this as you mentioned that this can happen. Well, it's only if there's some fraud or there's some inadmissibility that the officer finds. If you've got an approval letter for your study permit, there are very, very few reasons why an officer would reject it. Now, if I said it in the past, remember the travel restrictions sometimes wreaked havoc on this before. But now the travel restrictions are fairly open as long as you're complying with, the vaccinations and the negative tests and things like that. But the border officers, they have the ability to look, and if they see anything in there that looks fraudulent, or you have an obligation to even provide the same information that you provided for your study permit if they wish to see it. So the buck always stops with those officers. So if they find something that isn't quite right, they do have the authority to refuse to issue the study permit, even though it's been pre-approved at the consulate. So that's what I'm saying. And you just make sure you need to have everything in order so that nothing is missed. Okay. Okay. There's a question from Tanya in Super Chat. You say, okay, well, Tanya put it, but then Tanya must have put, let's see, I don't know if I can find this. Let's see if I can find Tanya. Sometimes when you do the Super Chat, you have to put the question with the actual super chat. And let me scroll down here and see if I can find Tanya. I do have the ability to search this. So let's see here. I am not seeing Tanya's question. Tanya, if you can't find it, then send, if I can't find this as I'm going through here, then don't hesitate to, because as I search through my comments, I don't see it here. Actually, maybe this one. Okay, here we go. Okay, I found it. Okay, AOR is January 18th. All right. I applied for GCMS notes on July 27th. Haven't got any revert yet. Should I reapply? So you're asking, should I reapply for GCMS notes? July 27th, everything is slowing down, right? And so there's no harm in submitting another $5 and making another request. I know that the GCMS notes are not coming back super fast, and that's probably the reason. But because of the demand, you can imagine how many people are submitting access to information requests now because immigration won't talk to them through their call centers. So this is what they don't understand. I just wish they would be more transparent. It's super, super frustrating. There's no harm in making the request, Tanya, but everybody is bottled up and backed up. And that's part of the reason why you don't have a decision yet. I guess it's possible that, maybe for whatever reason, they somehow didn't get your request. Maybe there was a mistake or a glitch, but there's no harm in submitting it. That's for sure. Okay. All right. So let's just see here. So you guys are messing with me here. So, okay. So, I think Ankit, you had asked, make sure you put your question with your super chat. So versus just putting this here, put the question with it as well. So restate your question. When will be the next CEC draw? Your question. That is the what we call $1 million question. Could it happen that we see it this week? Could it happen that we see it next week? Could it be that we don't see anything until the new year? It's just really, really hard to tell. We haven't received any intel from immigration. They keep it very, very tight-lipped. And so very, very frequently, it's as much of a surprise to us as anyone. And the way I look at it, even if you have provinces who have an invested interest in knowing what the federal government is doing, they often don't even know what the federal government's going to do. And so they're scrambling. So there you go. Okay. And so individuals like this, I'll just post this question here. This is far too long to Kali for me to respond to in this group. So you guys need to keep your questions nice and short and summarized because it takes too long to go through. Okay, we are, you guys, at the very, very tail end. I'm gonna turn this on. That is the notification that the live Q&A is coming to an end. I want to thank all of you guys for all of your participation, your questions. I know I go through in the hour as many questions as I can get. And I want to thank everybody for participating. I want to thank you guys for being just such a big support of everything that I'm trying to do. As a Canadian immigration lawyer in a very seedy industry, there's lots of crooked and scrupulous people out there. I just had a consult with someone who paid, I don't know why they did, paid $25,000 to the employer. And the consultant in this case, who's based in Surrey, is in cahoots. And I know the name of the consultant, but I'm not going to post it. But they have literally screwed this person's life over. They're forcing them to work for the employer and they're not paying overtime. And the individual themselves are just totally being exploited, but they're afraid to do anything. So, until people step forward and complain about these bad situations, they will continue to perpetuate themselves. But I work in an industry that's very scuzzy. People are distrustful. They don't believe that reps actually do anything to help them. But in my case, all I can do is just the best that I can. Hopefully you guys feel my genuineness. And I love doing what I do. And I hope that I can do it for 30 more years. All right. Remember, if you have any questions, don't ever hesitate to slide over here to our website and book a consultation. And always, always remember that I've got these courses, the TR to PR pathway. We're doing the express entry right now. We've done 2 days under the belt. Technically, there still is an ability to get in to the master classes to watch the videos. So if you'd like to do that, click on the Get the Course and register, and I'll get you caught up. Make sure you won't have missed anything in the 2 previous classes. The TR to PR pathway is still open. So we're just wrapping that one up as the government brings that to an end. So me and Mr. Ghost right here, Mr. Ghosty, we want to wish you a very, very happy day. And soon it's going to be Halloween, and watch for a lot more fun stuff. All right. And thank you, Amy. Good luck to everyone. Hang in there, stay strong. And I wish you guys all the best as you navigate this crazy world that we call Canadian immigration.